That playing 80 minutes, it's not something that happens all the time anymore for you as a player. Do you make an accommodation with that? Are you always pissed off coming off early? Like, do they tell you in advance, look, you're going to play for 60 minutes? How does that work?
It depends on the situation. As as we heard, as I found out the hard way after the French game. No, I think, yeah, I suppose specialist positions, very rarely, obviously, if you're winning the game, obviously subs will come on. If you're losing the game, subs will come on. So you're in a specialist position where there's always another out half on the bench, so it's likely you're not going to play 80. Obviously, there's nothing better than playing 80 and being on the pitch at the end of the game, you know, having won the game. It's a different feeling when you come off and you're sat on the bench and you win. It's a little bit different. So yeah, I would like to play 80 more, but like, again, I have to take responsibility as well. There's been games where you pick up niggles or you know, games where things aren't going that well that you need to come off. So it's a mixture of everything, really.
Are you getting better at dealing with that? This seems like a loaded question. It's not, but are you better at dealing with this now than you would have been, say, when you were 28, 29?
Or 6 months ago.
Well.
Or not even 6 months ago, 3 months ago. No, look, I think a lot was made after the French game, so I know it is a leading question, Ger. You know, a lot was made after the French game, and rightly so. It was a bad reaction and something I wouldn't have done, obviously, if I had, you know, that split second back. But I suppose like I said, it's a split second thing. I looked up at the big screen to see the score and the time on the clock, and I was angry with how we played in the second half, angry with some of the decisions, etc. And I suppose it was, like I said, it was a split second thing. Normally you wouldn't expect the camera to be on you at that stage. And if I'd known the craziness that was going to come after it, I obviously wouldn't have done it. But look, you live and learn. And yeah, you think at my age you'd have more experience to do that, but when it means a lot to you and you care about the team and you care about like winning, and it can get on top of you. So you know, I apologise obviously at the time, was made of that as well, but like I said, it's not always you know, you learn your lessons the hard way sometimes.
Do you think more gets made out of stuff now because you are the captain?
Yeah, like, and rightly so. That's the responsibility that goes with it, and that's why, you know, I suppose I'm defending myself a little bit by saying it was a split second thing. It wasn't like it carried on into the dressing room or into the stands or anything like that. It was very much a sort of a disappointment in myself as much as anything. So it wasn't aimed at anyone or anything in particular. It was a mixture of things, and like I said, it was a split second. But I think that if we'd known the stuff that was going to happen after it, and but like as captain, you need to be better than that, and you can't do that. And yeah, it was lesson learned. You
can't really cheat the experience of captaincy that much. Like you've got obviously endless experience, one of the most experienced players in world rugby at this stage. But it's a different. I presume it's a different preparation for you now. Like it's there's much more of various things to do rather than just worrying about your own game. Are you better this time than you would have been even 12 months ago? Have there been things along the way that you've learned for that?
Yeah, I think in terms of captaincy, I'll hopefully be better for the years' experience I've had. You know, I suppose people would judge me because I'm a bit more experienced and I should have known better in that moment. But I'm a young captain as well. You know, I've only done it for, 2 or 3 years, and my role before that was very much different in the environment. Like I could be the bad guy and let the captain pick up the pieces, whereas now you can't have those moments. You can't have the moments that sometimes you kind of, not plan, but when you see that guys aren't on it, or you're not concentrating, or the effort's not there on the week of a certain game, and you kind of have a go at someone to try and G everyone else up. You can't do that anymore. You've got a responsibility, and at times it's a challenge. But like I said, hopefully I'll be better for it this campaign.
The reason I was asking about the 80 minutes is because we had Ronan O'Gara on during the week, and obviously he always gets asked, because he's a number 10, about the situation at 10 and the depth that we have and the competition that there is for the the 10 spot, and he had the idea. I want to play the clip because I don't want to paraphrase him too much. He was talking about your role and how it might evolve and perhaps lengthen your career. Just have a listen to it so I don't butcher this properly. Have a listen.
I think without Joey, there's a huge onus on Johnny and a huge responsibility on Johnny to start games and do everything nearly. But the fact that if Joey was there, Johnny can easily play the backup role and play and have as much impact in 30 minutes than he could have in the 50 or 60 minutes. So it's a very, very different dynamic, and it's a one that could be very interesting. And I think it also tactically changes the situation as well, but also the fact that if Joey finds his strides, then there's a capacity to bring in, a Ross Byrne or a Harry Byrne or another player to get up to speed with Johnny in the background as well. But it's so talking about it, I suppose, doesn't. When you're that player and you've that burning desire to be such a competitor and play for your country, and you know that it won't last forever, you know what I mean? Johnny isn't going to walk away. He's not going to kind of underestimate how much he brings to it, and how much rightly so he feels that not playing for Ireland would be such a big void for him.
Yeah, and he said the same thing about not playing for Ireland was such a big thing for him as well. Is there any part of you that is kind of thinking, I can change my role here at some point down the line?
Sorry, I thought you were talking after Rog.
Yeah, sorry.
It's not up to me, they're not decisions that I make as a player, they're decisions that the coaches make, and thankfully Rog is not coach, because I wouldn't be playing if he was.
He did say he would pick you. We didn't. That was a long conversation. It was like, there's no doubt at the moment that that he would definitely pick you.
Yeah, look, obviously that's Rog's opinion. What do you want me to say to that in terms of?
Well, I guess I'm wondering.
I need to change my role. It's not something that I ever think about. It's not something that I want to start thinking about. I just try and turn up in the best shape I can, in the best mental state I can, and try and perform in training. And if that gets me picked, well, then I want to start and play for Ireland. And that's basically my motivation. I don't. If the coach says, look, in this game we think you're better off coming off the bench, well, then I literally throw myself into it that way. It's not. But like I said, it's not something that I'm going to decide or have an influence on.
No, I wouldn't expect you to say anything other than I absolutely want to start, because that's the motivation, that's the cutthroat nature of professional sport, where as soon as you come off that, then that's a very slippery slope. I suppose he's talking about his end for Ireland was very quick, and there's probably another way of managing careers so that we get the very most to the very last moment out of it. And it sounds like we're a good bit away from that yet, Johnny.
I don't know. I don't know how far away we are from it in terms of, it's not up to me when I end either. It's very much season by season. It's game by game, and like you mentioned there, the cutthroat nature of professional sport is, you don't know when the end is going to be. And I want to make the most of whenever that might be. If it's this season, if it's next season, I don't know. But all I know is that I'm motivated to try and play well for Ireland at the moment, and if I perform well in training, hopefully I'll get picked, and then it'll be all focus on that, really. After
the last World Cup, the staging post, the halfway staging post, is always a Lions tour, and it was always in your head. I heard you talk about that before, about everybody who plays professional rugby wants to play and be involved in the Lions. And then, so the Lions is pretty soon, but then after that, you're back into a World Cup cycle. Have you allowed yourself to even think about perhaps still being around for a World Cup?
No, again, I suppose I made a comment with the media a month ago or 2 months ago and said, in my head, I still think I can get there. Yeah, it was a little bit tongue in cheek. I still think at the moment I'm loving the game. I'm loving training. I'm loving playing with my teammates. So I don't see a need to finish now, but things can change very quickly. You know what I mean? So I'm literally taking it season by season, and at the moment, all my focus is on literally Wales at the moment. I'm getting 100% fit and firing into next week, and everything else, I suppose, looks after itself. You know, nothing else looks after itself if you're not holding your end of the bargain up and performing and playing well. So that's where all my focus is at the moment.